Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, the Manga Man here, and we're finally there. We're finally at One Piece chapter 1000. This is a chapter review based on Scanalations. The official release should be out next Sunday or Monday depending on time zone. So for those that do not wish to be spoiled, proceed no further or subscribe to the channel and come back once you've read the chapter and we will proceed from there. Now in UK time at point of recording is 8 p.m. on the Sunday the 27th of December, and a rough English translation did come out earlier on in the day, or possibly yesterday, late yesterday, and I opted not to use that as a basis of my review purely because when you compare it to the TCB version that you can get a link from on the normal Reddit, I will also link this in my subreddit, which is r/the Manga Man. You'll see that there is differences in both versions. So there's a link there for the rough English and there's a link there for this version that I'm looking at, and you can see there's a difference. That being said, I'm grateful that I waited and we do get further explanation. So with that being said, let's get into this review. So. Before we start, a few things we want to clarify. Again, just to reiterate, the official chapter will come out Sunday or Monday, Sunday next week or Monday week after, depending on time zones. We are on break the week after, and then it should return the week after that. So be mindful that depending on when you spoil it for yourself and decide to read this, there will be a bit of wait involved till you get to the next one. What I'd like to do is I'll follow this review based on these translations, and I will still check out the official translation when they come out and wait with everybody else like a good old manga reader. That being said, let's get into this. So chapter 1000, quite a journey. There's a lot of different tidbits here, and one of the things I do absolutely enjoy is looking at other people's opinions, and sometimes they'll see things and remember things that, like a specific chapter or a scene or an event, and that I'll forget the exact details of it, and it was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense, that's quite interesting. So I wanted to kind of touch on and include some of those thoughts, although unfortunately I can't give you specific people's names, but hopefully I can at least give them credit to say, look, it's not my idea, it's not my brilliant acknowledgement, but at least I can say that they've done their bit. So let's start off chapter 1000. It starts off basically Luffy's reaching the bottom, or maybe he's basically on the 5th floor, and he sees the path is pretty much cleared and the musketeers are there. What I found funny was, even in the serious situation like that, he basically still forgets Shishilion's name and he has to get corrected, but he says, I do remember what you did for Raizo, thank you. So he's still grateful, and they've essentially cleared the path for him, essentially saying this is the least we could do. So the fact that the 9 scabbards and Ino basically said, look, go downstairs, was actually a good decision from Inuarashi, so that this helped Luffy up. Interesting plot point, I would say. And then Luffy obviously goes up from there. From there we do go back to that later on towards the end, but we'll kind of go through the order of the chapter. I can't believe I said kind of. But anyway, we basically see Marco essentially deal with King and Queen pretty easily. The essential result of this is they can't really deal with him. They find him really tricky, and he either flings or blows Zoro up to the roof. So that's the main output from this. But there's a lot to talk about with this now. Now, an interesting thought I was thinking about in preparation for this video was, with his activities, is he officially under Luffy now? Is he kind of an allied force officially, or is this like a one-off because of what Ace went to do? Luffy, being Ace's brother, should then make it easy to use that as an excuse to follow, or has he allied himself with someone like Shanks, who did say, do you want to join my team? So I just found that interesting tidbit. Now, realistically, the reason why they're finding hard to deal with. Marco is more than likely just down to experience. Now there is differences between the types of devil fruits. These two beast pirate members, king and queen, are ancient zones, and Marco the Phoenix is a mythical zone. So it's tricky to deal with. So that's the first thing. There's just a type difference between the type of devil fruit. That's the first thing. The second thing for me is when you think about this crew, the Beast Pirates, basically they're on Wano most of the time. I mean, unless they've got an outside mission, they're not as active in terms of traveling the world territory-wise than to say like a Whitebeard or somebody like that. Whitebeard for me just seemed to be more active. He had a lot more islands that he was protecting. He was traveling on the sea, and it may easily just be that he's just a lot more experienced, and because of that, he's able to kind of trick and that wily veteran type of person to be able to deal with these two people. It doesn't necessarily mean they're weak. It might literally just be the bad matchup stylistically for them. So I do want to point out that this doesn't automatically make Marco like the emperor level. It basically just says they struggle with him. And this might be again a similar kind of thing like Katakuri was a tricky to deal with. He had a special kind of paramecia that gave him Logia type of abilities, and it was interesting. So I do want to point that out. It is a quite an interesting tidbit. Now I'm just going to keep referring to my notes because to keep this fresh in my head. The next bit is to do with Yamato, to keep the order right in my head to where the chapter went. So Yamato, Shinobu, and Momo are talking. Now when they're talking, they discuss quite a few different things. They discuss that she found the journal next to a river that was protected. She also discussed that she had thought that he had died in the fire, and she was she's glad she got to meet him. And then we kind of see a few different things, especially around Ace. So one of the first things he talks about in the flashback is she basically mentions that there's going to be they're mentioning in the journal that within 20 years strong pirates will come into the new world, and it will be like a new generation, a new era. And I found that interesting because if you think about the different timelines now, 40 plus to 40 odd years ago it was Rox's timeline, 20 odd years ago was basically Roger's timeline. This is this generation's timeline, and when you realistically think about the people that are involved in this chapter, these are the same supernovas that were exclusively mentioned. They were like the top 3, the top 5 were exclusively mentioned when they were all introduced. They were saying, we got Kid, Law, Luffy, we got Hawkins, and we got Apu, and we got told that one of these 5 are going to lead the new generation, possibly become the Pirate King. It was implied. So the fact that these same 5 people, although there's others there as well, are involved is interesting. Then we get flashbacks with Luffy being discussed by Ace. One thing I always love about an Ace flashback, when they do spend time to explore it, is the amount of love they have for Luffy. Because he says something, and he's like, oh no, I regret saying that. He goes, but you dare laugh at him, Sabo and I won't forgive you. So the fact that they laughed at him, they teased him, but because Luffy believes in it, they believe in him, they know it's going to happen, he's going to make it come true, regardless of their goals. But he specifically says, do not laugh at him. I also like the fact that there was like a indirect discussion about Goldie Roger and how Odin mentioned a great man, and that they would have got on. It's implied it could have easily been Whitebeard or Roger, but it does look like they're talking about Roger. But then obviously they mentioned that he's dead, and they would get on. And I like that because all this time he's always heard bad things about his dad, and he's finally heard something good, even though he hasn't realized it's his dad that they're talking about, whether it's his chosen one or his biological one. And then after that, there's a discussion or mention of Vivri card. Essentially, Yamato created a Vivri card for Ace, took a piece for herself, and said, whoever you want to meet again, give this piece to, which is probably the one that Ace gave to Luffy in Alabasta, I believe it was. and then she goes, when it fizzled away, I knew he had died, and then I'd found the news. So the fact that all that's kind of brought together, so it was her or him that created the Vivre card. The fact that it's all linked, I like. And the whole thing with essentially a prediction, a prophecy to come true, fates entwined, can be considered cliche, but I don't mind. Oda has a way of doing things. So then you get all that. You don't really get much of everything else that's going on, but then you get the best bit. Luffy kicks down and punches down a door to get to the top floor, the roof, and you can clearly see what's happened. The scabbards are down, but then you get this lovely panel, this amazing spread where you get Big Mom and Kaido, then you get Kid, Killer, Luffy who's just entered, Zoro who's been blown up by Marco, and Law, and them three captains being there with their subordinates, being the top three originally mentioned as the supernovas of that generation, ready to take on these people. It's a brilliant thing to see. Obviously, Luffy does not get caught up in the moment. He goes to check up on Kinemon. He sees the aftermath of the battle, and they feel shame because they essentially now know that they can't face Odin because they didn't take down Kaido, and they kind of plead with Luffy to say, look, please protect Wano Kuni, please essentially carry on his will. And Luffy's like, of course, this is my friend's island. And then there's like a whole scene of different flashbacks, which is kind of the journey here, the Zoro and all that section, and leading up to this point, the declaration of taking down Kaido, the scabbards, Odin, all these different little bits and bats mentioning around those, and then you see that Kaido does his attack, Luffy dodges it, goes gear third, and he does a Red Roc to knock down Kaido, which even surprises Big Mom. Now there's two things to take off this big spread of panel. Number one, it was mentioned in Reddit as well, which was interesting, that this design is kind of a throwback or a callback to the original introduction of an attack after the time skip, when Luffy hit one of the I think it was PX5 or PX7, when re-entering, so when he was basically in Sabaody Archipelago running to enter the New World, and him doing this to Kaido essentially looked the same thing. Only difference is it was Haki imbued and also gear third. And the parallels were interesting because previously, pre-timescape, you see that he couldn't deal with a pacifista. Post-timescape, this version of the pacifista he dealt with easily. And then when he was fighting Kaido before, he got dealt with quite easily. And then after some training and after kind of refining his will and essentially sharpening his Haki blades, he's come back and he's broken through his limit to knock down Kaido. Hasn't beaten Kaido, we haven't seen gear 4th or gear 5th or whatever else is going to happen, but the fact that he's knocked him down is interesting. Now, when he arrives at this location, there's essentially teasing Luffy at this point. Kaido's like, what did you say, boy? Say it again, what you gonna do? And then Big Mom's like, yeah, he was cheeky when he came to my city as well, or my area. He even broke my castle. I need an apology. Whatever she would do in that scenario. And after him hitting Kaido, knocking down Kaido with his attack, he basically makes a declaration, and the declaration is that he's going to surpass them both, and he's going to become Pirate King. Just like he was saying in the original chapter, chapter 1000, same thing, he's still going to become the Pirate King. There's a few other tidbits to take off this. The second tidbit of this main panel is when he does what he does, Luffy does to Kaido, there's like a small panel that looks, it's kind of a silhouette, and it basically to me is reminding Big Mom of Roger or Shanks. So them are the only two people I can think of that it can remind them of. But we see a small amount, and like it's a little panel. She's shocked, and then the declaration happens. Now, I've actually on the version which I will actually include on my subreddit. There's a link, and on the link that I've got, it basically talks about what the Red Roc is about. So originally people translate it as rock, as in, you know, the mineral, or R-O-C-K, rock, the rock. But there was an official kind of translation that I wanted to basically cover by TCB, which basically covers everything. Essentially, if I can get it up, the roc, ROC, is a type of bird that essentially is legendary and it surpasses a hawk. If you think about all the attacks Luffy has been doing before, it's been the Red Hawk. So this roc is a enhanced version of that. I'm assuming this is to do with his advancement of haki. So this could be, it hasn't been clarified which version he's used. So if you think about the spectrum of haki, you've got the normal haki, which is the darkening haki that he's been using when he originally did the jump after the time skip. Then you've got the advancement where he's able to spread this a little bit more and have some distance between his fist and the opponent, which does an enhanced damage. And the third one, where is the damage that goes inside. So we haven't clarified if it was level 2 or level 3, is what I like to call them, but it's still devastating. I can't wait to see what's going to happen when he does the rest of his bits, but it's going to be interesting to say the least. That being said, I'm hoping chapter 1001, I think I've added a 0, gets to show Zoro shine. The fact that Kid is still saying, "Oh, have you come to see me fight?" Nah, let's just see what he does. It'll be interesting regardless. So the big showdown has happened. We're going to get the gates closing on Act 3, and then we're going to get into Act 4. That being said, brilliant chapter. Well worth the wait, well worth the hype. Please always like, comment, share and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one, hopefully in a few weeks. Peace.